Hi, it's Luke from the Leicester Property Blog, and today we're looking at have the baby boomers, the people that are aged between 55 and 75 now, mess things up for the millennials in terms of getting on the Leicester property ladder. So did you know that Leicester house prices have risen by 190% as a proportion of household income since 1980? Now we're going to be looking at this in a bit more detail. Now, coming back to those baby boomers, they bought their council house in the 80s and 90s, meaning that there are no affordable homes for today's youngsters, thus driving up the demand for rental homes and the price of homes making them unaffordable. So I decided to look at the figures, which do not make good reading. In 1980, the average Leicester household income was just under £6,000 per annum, and the average Leicester house price was £17,582, whilst today the average Leicester household income is £28,470 per annum, yet the average household value is £242,000, meaning the average value of a Leicester home was 2.93 times more than the average household income in 1980 compared to today, where it is 8.52 times a Leicester household income. It's no wonder that the millennials are pointing the finger at the baby boomers. And the problems don't just stop there. Not only do the newspapers state that there is a housing crisis of affordability, but also a crisis of availability of homes for people to live in. The political parties using housing as a vote getter mention statistics such as in 1981 there were 5.1 million council houses, whereas today that only stands at 1.6 million. This is important because as a substantial number of people will never be able to afford to buy, social housing plays a significant role in homing them. It all looks rather damning, and the phrase "okay baby boomer" looks quite apt. Well, checking the statistics, the political parties seem to forget a number of housing association homes which are also social housing. This has risen from 0.4 million to 2.6 million homes in that time. Therefore, whilst there is a drop in social housing, it's a net figure of 2.3 million fewer social homes instead of the 3.5 million that I mentioned earlier. Baby boomers simply did the best they could with the circumstances given. It's not like these older generations have been conspiring in the food aisles of Waitrose or M&S on how to mess things up for the next generation. There are fundamental underlying problems in British society that means things are difficult for our younger people. It's everyone's responsibility to solve those underlying problems. We just can't blame those baby boomers. Millennials aren't morally superior to baby boomers just because they didn't grow up in the same era of economic growth and house price inflation. What some people forget is whilst Leicester property values were lower, so were salaries. The true cost of affordability is the mortgage payments. Assuming someone bought an average property in 1980 and again in 2019 using a 95% mortgage at the prevailing mortgage rate of 17.8% in 1980 and the current 1.65% today in Leicester, the mortgage accounts for 39.5% of household income compared to 50.2% in 1980. Things were much tougher for homeowners in 1980. The issue is something much deeper. Baby boomers say it's the millennials' own fault they can't afford to buy their own home because they spend all the money on free holidays, avocado on toast, going out to the pub 3 times a week and buying the latest iPhone or such like, whilst millennials accuse the baby boomer generation for ruining the housing market per se by being selfish. Both are right and both are wrong. In my own involvement with friends and family, many Leicester baby boomers are trying their best to help their now grown-up children with a deposit. They are fully aware of current Leicester house prices compared to when they bought their own homes. I'm not a fan of attaching labels, be it millennials, baby boomers or Gen X. It's really a point of attitude and behaviour and circumstance rather than the date of your birth. Every generation has had its fair share of feast and famine, and whilst I appreciate the irony title of this article, let's stop labelling people and making assumptions. Everyone needs to understand each generation's issues and be more ungrudging to each other. You would like further advice about what's happening in the Leicester property market, feel free to reach out to me at theleicesterpropertyblog.com or give me a call on 07917 899 495.